Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we take a cue from Masahiro Sakurai and release an episode we recorded 2.5 years ago. Show this to the old woman, and the Nintendo Cartridge Society shows this with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my special co-host, Michael C. Hearn. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including maybe Switch 2 being revealed tomorrow or sometime this week. We don't know. And then on Thursday, we are discussing our favorite scary moments in games. But in the meantime, we have filmmaker, friend of the show, Michael C. Hearn, is here.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, Patrick. I'm doing great. Also, recent Pikmin bloomer, I should say.
That's right.
My thing.
Recent Pikmin bloomer, recent resident of the NCS Discord.
That's correct.
How is Pikmin Bloom treating you
Very well.
these days?
Good. I started it, honestly, obviously should have started it a lot ago because it's a joy. But also because I started when I was doing some work where I walked around a lot. And I was like, well, of course, if I'm going to get some steps in, I might as well grow some Pikmin. Now I also have an opportune time where I'm going on a trip soon to Europe, and I'll be seeing what Pikmin Bloom is like overseas.
So I think I'm sure some of the listeners, because we have listeners who are in Europe that I think are playing along, but I'm not sure. But I know Mark's experience of playing it in Japan was that like there are a lot of people playing it, and you have to like get in on a mushroom fight early, or like it's gonna fill up.
Gotcha. All right, competitive.
Yeah,
I could see that, especially in Japan.
Right.
I wonder how it'll go in like historic Germany and stuff.
I mean, you'll see.
Yeah, but no, it's fun. Even in I was over in Colorado when I first started, and it was just fun to see like some of the flower trails where stuff was obviously more popular, and then stuff like there's a lot of breweries there, and it would be fun to notice like a bunch of people like when they're doing brewery stuff is like planting flowers and fighting mushrooms, and
you're waiting around to order another drink, and you're like,
might as well.
Send him off to fight a mushroom.
Yeah, it's a little more obvious here in LA where I'm like, it's not going to be very popular right immediately on Sunset Boulevard, but then I go to Burbank Mall and I see plenty of stuff.
Yes, yeah. The first time I fought like a giant fire mushroom was behind
I saw some of those in Burbank.
Yes, in Burbank. I don't know why. They're always in Burbank.
I don't know.
Is
that like a fire in the mountain situation? Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it is. When the fire danger is high.
Yeah.
Then the mushrooms are on fire. If you would like to support us as we try to avoid burning mushrooms, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries. We are currently doing NCS Arcade, where Mark and I are playing games that we have not beaten. Usually they are games from Nintendo Switch Online, but not always. We just put out our episode and our listener feedback episode about Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, a game that neither of us had played before. Hearn, you play Dawn of Sorrow before?
I did. I played the one that I hadn't played for DS was Order of Ecclesia. I don't know. I just missed a boat on that. And now I know the Dominus collection is out.
Yes, which is how we both played.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm excited to try that one day because I remember the DS games being really nifty, and I believe Dawn was the first one because I think their convention with the DS games is the first game is always DS, like the Advance Wars.
They loved
Dual
Strike. Dual Strike,
yeah.
There's basically everything. I mean, it's funny that like sometimes that really is like they did it with like Advance. Everything was something Advance. And obviously 64 was all over like game titles.
It was?
Well, Star Fox, Mario Kart.
All right, chat's out.
Yeah. And then like, that's what we knew Zelda as for a while, right? Ocarina of Time was Zelda 64 for
like the shorthand.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and even Metal Gear Solid, the one for Game Boy, is called Ghost Babel because GB.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Are there other hidden GBs?
Maybe. I could see it, but that's the only one I know offhand, and that's because that's a fun one, and also I do like that game.
Was Ghost Babel a Game Boy Color game, or?
I believe so. At the very least, that's how I played it, and it did have color, and it was very much the old Metal Gear original vein, where it's top-down, isometric-y.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it's good.
Gotta check that out. It's one of the like Metal Gear blind spots that I have. I just never played it.
Surprisingly good one.
The next game that we are playing for NCS Arcade is regrettably Echo the Dolphin. Mark sprung this on me, suggested it. I made a face, and he was like, "Let's do it." So that's we'll be recording that at some point in the next week or so. Tune in for that.
Condolences.
I was never much of a Genesis guy.
Yeah. Even I was a Genesis kid, but I think that I still dapped out on stuff like that or Columns or some of the semi offshooty, prestige Genesis games. But I mean, yeah, that one has 3 games and a Dreamcast game, and I've not played into them really. So
yeah, well, they
seem very hard to get into.
Yes, they're difficult to get into, and I just find it obtuse.
Yes,
like we'll talk about it more.
Sure.
Yes, so check that out if you're interested. Speaking of things you can check out, join the Discord. Like I said, Hearn is in there if you would like an invitation.
It's a party.
It is a party. And look, if we do get a Switch 2 announcement thing, we're going to be chatting about it in there for sure. So
yes.
Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society @gmail.com, and I will send you an invitation. Last little thing I want to plug, and then we'll hit up some plugs for you, Hearn,
sure.
is just that I've got my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book. All 4 issues are in comic book stores now, but you guys already know about that. Hearn,
yes.
What would you like to plug before we dig in here?
Regrettably, I have a competing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book.
What?
No, it's... you can go to my website, michaelchern.com, look at all my short films, please and thank you. I'm on, like Patrick said, the Discord with Nintendo Cartridge Society, as well as Super NPC, so if you want to talk video games, I'm always around for that. And yeah, I mean, you can look at my Instagram, Michael C. Hearn.
Check all that out. All right, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Let's start at what we have in common here, because we've both been playing The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I have now beaten the game.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. As of last night at 11 o'clock, rolled credits, and then kind of popped back into the world to... The game does a nice job after you beat it of being you've missed this many of this thing, this many of this thing.
Cool.
And I have an accessory right now that tells me when I am near a mite crystal. There's a little chime that
I remember
sounds.
those, yes.
And so I'm cleaning up the map that way. But there's also I don't know, in every Zelda game I feel like I end up missing a dozen heart container pieces.
Gotcha.
And I feel like I'm never going to make up that gap.
And this is more like a modern Zelda where there's character-based side quests and things you can always find that. Yeah,
I feel like I do a lot of those just as I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Where are you, Hearn? How are you feeling about the game?
I beat the Midway Ganon. I don't know how official that is, but I beat a version of... Exactly, you know more than me, but I beat a version of Ganon, and I got 3 more areas to go to, including a volcano area, which is kind of where I'm headed first. Also think I found a forest that seems like it's opportune for a Master Sword to be hiding out somewhere in there. And
very pointedly, not the Lost Woods. They call it the Eternal Forest.
That's right. That. Yes, it's an interesting wrinkle on it. And yeah, I'm still liking it a lot, having very much fun with it. Some quality of life, and I wish here and there would be different, but also I don't mind it. I've been putting away at here and there, so I'm not too tired of it. Some of the boss fights can be a little tricky and kind of a little reliant on going back to the Swordmaster version or going back to your version as fighting. But just in terms of breaking down what's doing it, so being open about it, it's really nifty. I'm really having fun when I'm just in the world exploring nooks and crannies, and even the little dungeons where the traversal puzzles can be very clever and rewarding for that. I'm into that stuff. So this was an interesting wrinkle on a very, well-worn formula, obviously.
Yeah. I really once you hit that the stuff at Hyrule Castle, that sort of separates the first half of the game from the second half of the game.
Yeah, that's where I feel like I'm at.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Where you are. You've crossed that threshold into the second half of the game. And I know I could have been exploring the whole map before this, or before that moment, but because the 3 like points of interest after Hyrule Castle are like spread all the way around the map.
Yeah.
It just feels like a mandate to explore more.
Mm-hmm.
And I like really, even while I was doing those dungeons and like the run up to each of those dungeons, I would kind of constantly teleport away to like go do some like character quests, or like once I discovered the Great Fairy, I was like, oh, I gotta like be saving up rupees to like do stuff with the Great Fairy. Have you found the Great Fairy yet?
No.
Find that Great Fairy.
All right.
Can I tell you what she does?
Please.
Okay, so the way she levels you up is that every time you give her rupees, she increases the number of accessories you can equip at one time.
Okay.
So like
That'll
right
be
now you
helpful
can only
already.
do one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. By the end you can equip like 5 or 6 at one time.
Mm.
It's incredible stuff.
Is that even something Link could ever do? Trying to think of like the most he could carry and like have assembled at once.
Yeah. Well, usually
in like
they
a prior
don't.
game.
Yeah, they don't like track those things.
Yeah.
Really, right?
All right.
If he's got like a bracelet and a tunic and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. But I was just trying to give Zelda like the one up of like, I can do this, Link. Why can't you?
That's right.
Great Fairy likes me this much. What has a fairy ever done for you?
And it's weird because it is presented a little bit like the fairy is like, I want you to be able to be more fashionable.
Okay.
So you can equip these additional
All right. There's
accessories.
A little bit of gender stuff
There's
in there.
Some
but
gender
whatever.
stuff in here, yeah.
But still endearing, I think. That it's all been pretty positive and endearing about it. Kelsey's been a fan of watching me play because she likes the idea of Zelda being the hero this time.
Yeah, I like the idea of Zelda
yes,
being the hero this time.
And being more crafty and smart instead of brute force.
Yep, I like that as well. Even though you're right, I do in boss fights. I'm like, I'm gonna turn into the sword fighter here and
basically
wail away on
I
this
feel
thing.
like you need to. I feel like unless there's like a really roundabout way I haven't figured out.
When you get to the end, there is a little turn regarding that stuff that I would like to talk to you about after you've experienced it, and I would like to talk about on the show after. I don't know. I don't know when, but sometime.
I'll put it in the books.
Put it in the books. And then, okay, so that's Echoes of Wisdom.
Yes.
We should talk a little bit about, I have had access to the Nintendo Switch Online playtest.
Yes, I'm excited for this. I'm
happy
to be here on the ground floor.
You're in on the ground floor, nice. as are the listeners. And again, everyone be cool, right?
Be chill, everyone.
Be chill, because I guess I did sort of agree to not talk about it, but in a very like gentle Nintendo kind of way.
Yeah, no, you were talking a little bit about the level of NDA on the famously hostile Nintendo Corporation, that it seems like they're being looser, or at least not as like, I think maybe there's almost a game they're playing here with like, yeah, you're in on the ground floor or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Let some leakage out, and but I mean,
well, I mean, they didn't even disable the ability to screen capture or record video on Switches. So like, you know, it's obviously clips of it are out there, and also just like the language of the NDA, which I'm not even, you know, it doesn't identify it itself as an NDA, or non-disclosure agreement, like in that language. It just says like, please don't. So you know, that's whatever. There are no consequences here.
Cool.
And also where
let's still be chill, listeners.
Let's still be chill. We're 13 minutes into the episode. No one knows what's going on in here. So okay, the game, as you've maybe seen by now, is a little bit of a Dragon Quest Builders, Minecraft sort of experience of like building things, and you're doing it in a like massively multiplayer open world where you're all like exploring one globe together, and you are like sort of catapulted into this world, and you're given a beacon, and the higher up you place the beacon, the more of the ground below it illuminates. And then like allows other people to explore that. But when you place your beacon, the area that it illuminates becomes yours. So like other people can't edit stuff within your beacon's like area of protection.
All right, I fell.
So the way that the like basic construction works, it's all just based on like shoving 2 blocks together. So you can, any 2 blocks that are like lined up next to each other, you can shove one into the other and they merge into a single piece, which means, and then like you can pick stuff up, rotate it, put it back down, but it's all based on your ability to shove 2 blocks together. So like if I get like a little platform that's 2 blocks deep, and I want to connect it to another platform that's 2 blocks deep, I can't like transitively push all the way through it. I've got to like find another like connector block that's a single deep and like push them together that way.
Gotcha.
So it's a very like limited. It's limited in a way that like my brain was working on ways to like build things after I was done playing it. You know what I mean? Like it's just compelling enough and just limited enough that it was sort of fun. You play as like a little dude with like a little caveman dude with a tail, and the tail sort of has like Spider-Man qualities to it that you're like swinging around with this tail. I don't, it's all very strange.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty directionless in it.
Gotcha.
Like I don't know. I know what it has asked me to do, but I don't know like what I'm building towards, or if there's like any narrative stuff that's going to be like layered onto this.
Yeah. And would you say you're still like confused about what this will be as like a finished product?
Yeah, or even like what my yes, I don't know what it's going to be as a finished product. I don't know if this is. It doesn't feel like something they would release
just as is. Yeah.
Yeah, just as it is. But like maybe as a test bed for some other Nintendo IP. I honestly don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
It has a weird sort of like sci-fi veneer over it, where like it starts off being like, your body has been destroyed and now we've captured your soul and we're putting it into a new body. It's a little bit Scientology now that I'm saying it.
I was about to say, which maybe we just are more inundated with that in LA.
That's right. So we know when we see it. But yeah, it's like a detached, emotionless computer voice that's like telling you to do these things. But it's neat. I've not played it a ton. I played for like an hour the first night it was available, and then for a little bit over the weekend. But it's just kind of not really my style of game.
I would say too, I'm not into like the like building games like Power World, which Nintendo is not into either, and Valheim, stuff like that. Minecraft, obviously.
Right. So all of those games are like sort of survival games too, right?
That's true.
And there's not any part that I've encountered so far where there's like violence or like a need to like harvest resources necessarily.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that comes like later in the experience or what. But yeah, right now it feels like a strange sort of fun skeletal thing.
Yeah.
That I'm just wondering like where the meat is, right?
Gotcha.
And do you? So I feel like I've been a little bit all over the place. Do you have any questions about the playtest that I can answer?
Fair question. No, I mean you did a good job of describing it. I think I served out the gist. And then just how interactive are you with other people in it? For instance, like, can you guys build stuff together, even if it's on your own turf? Can you run into other people?
Yeah, so you are running into other people as you like teleport down onto the globe, and you can see other people's like beacon areas. And like those beacons allow you to like, so you can like see the area that it's protecting, and then there's sort of like the surrounding area that is like partially illuminated that then you can like take materials from to like craft towers. But I don't actually know.
Yeah.
You know, when I got in there, like everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. The thing is, when you go into, so there's like the on the surface of the planet thing, and then there's also like another area that you can be in, where there's all these different like customization stations, where I think you can probably make items and outfits and all this other stuff that I just like have not dug into. And I also don't know if those things are functional yet. It seems like there are lots of little hubs for activities that I have not engaged with yet.
Gotcha.
So it may be a bigger thing, and it may be that I've not found meaning in it yet because I've not properly explored it.
But also that could be like in the finished product, there's like challenges and
totally.
competition, stuff like that. You taught Dragon Quest Builder. I only really played the story mode of 2, but I saw there's like competitions where like best building of a bar or something like looks like this, and people in the community vote on it. And I could see the appeal of something like this combining with that.
See, I liked Dragon Quest Builders 2 quite a bit. Like I thought it was really fun. I thought the building was compelling, but also that you didn't have to do that much of it.
Yeah, it's very like almost like a PC twitching point system
Yes.
to it.
Right, and just like the characters are fun, and
Yes.
the
Story is cute.
story's amazing. And that just like isn't what this is.
Yeah,
right.
no, it doesn't sound like it.
And it's also not really like a Nintendo priority, really.
Sure.
But yeah, so I don't know. I have access to this thing for another like week and a
Mhm.
half, maybe a week and a day. And I know I'll go back to it, especially now that I've beat Zelda.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I got a little bit of that like post beating a Zelda game malaise. You know,
What do I do with my life?
what do I do with my life now? It's not even like I spent that much time in it. Maybe
Yeah.
25, 30-ish hours, but yeah. So maybe I'll spend more time with the playtest, and maybe I'll just mope about it.
Sounds like a decent place to be.
Hearn, what else you been playing?
All right. Big over thing that me and Kelsey play a lot is Fortnite, and they've been doing like a Halloween season, couple of editions. I can tell listeners who aren't in on the Fortnite stuff about. And because it's Fortnite, it's not just one thing; it's a couple of things. The biggest thing that we enjoy is that, and this is good because I've been meaning to get Kelsey into this movie. They have Leatherface as a character skin, which is ironic. She hates the term skin for this, and that's pretty fitting for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Absolutely.
But the biggest fun thing is that they have a new melee weapon of a chainsaw that you can use in Fortnite, and it's a fun weapon just because when you slash people, it kind of looks like the Leatherface dance at the end. And then B, you can ride it like if you would ride it for like a block of ice or something, like how some people.
Oh yeah, sure, okay.
But except you're doing it on the ground.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I did not know what you meant when you said ride it.
Yeah, like you're on top of it, and it's the blades are the chains in the ground. You're riding along on it, and it uses fuel, but it's still like a fun, very fast traversal. And there's been like fun, like Kelsey.
But it's still like by default running around with like a gun as Leatherface, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, Leatherface. That you don't have to be Leatherface to have the chainsaw, and if you are Leatherface, you can pick up any regular weapon. And then the other thing they involved a little bit is Saw, which is interesting, where they have. First of all, I never knew canonically that the name of the puppet was Billy, and they have
Really?
Billy bombs, which are little puppet bombs that ride around on tricycles and are homing to like whoever goes near them.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And then there are like little Saw challenges where you go to like a TV set and you get strapped on with a teddy bear bomb, which I think is being a little bit not canonical to Saw, a little colorful for Fortnite. And you have to fight another person who also agreed to the challenge. And if both of you don't kill the other person, or the other person doesn't get killed by someone else in 5 minutes, you both explode. And yeah, so
it takes you to like a separate little arena for that.
No, it's still in the main world, and you get a little beacon of like a radius of where the other person is that shrinks over time.
Gotcha.
There's been like challenges like that in Fortnite before, but this one is specifically Saw themed.
These massively multiplayer games using a lot of beacons.
Definitely. In Fortnite especially, you get like challenges or like little hubs of stuff that like pop up here and there.
How much longer does like the Leatherface and Saw stuff, like just through Halloween, or do they tell you that stuff in advance?
That's the thing. Sometimes there's like leftover stuff from like seasons ago that they just kept in. So there's no official date, I think, on a new season just yet. Maybe I'm mistaken, but at the very least, I don't know. Even if a new season came around, I don't think it would guarantee someone would get removed. Leatherface is just a skin, so I think that'll just be in the store. And then the chainsaw, Kelsey would like to stay in as long as possible.
She's enjoying the chainsaw.
Very much so.
You got to get like those Gears of War guys in there or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that would be a fun. Yeah, Marcus Phoenix, I believe.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be a very fun.
Is there just one Gears of War guy?
There's multiple.
Okay.
I remember playing Gears 5, and there's like a woman character, and there's like co-op in that one. But you know, it's Marcus Phoenix.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. But that would be a fun coincidental with that. There's always like fun things to like look back on the history of Fortnite, because even me and Kelsey have been getting into it, and we like missed out on like, oh, they had this interesting thing combined with this. Like, we got into it when like Futurama was coming back, so there was a lot of Futurama characters coming back.
That's cool.
And then Family Guy randomly was a recent one where it's like, it's weird that's coming around to Family Guy now, but whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, those things are just like eternal, right?
Yeah.
When it's also like the svelte Peter Griffith, right?
That's
Griffin.
It's not.
I said Griffith. I went to school with a Peter Griffith.
Was he anything like Peter Griffin? Or
no? He was a real like emo pop punk kid.
Okay.
Good guy.
Yeah, good name for it too, Griff, if it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like they still even do that. Like they have some fun reference points to it. He does the bird is the word dance, which you can
Sure.
get. But like in terms of it's not just Peter Griffin as the Family Guy design. It's like a buff guy that looks like Peter Griffin, which is a fun little wrinkle.
Sure. All right. Well, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. But before we get to next week, we got to wrap up what released on Monday at like 6:50 p.m. Nintendo of America put out a tweet announcing that Shadow Man and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil were being added to the Nintendo Switch Online Nintendo 64 17 Plus app.
Yeah, the mature.
The mature app, so that if you are subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, you can now play Shadow Man and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil.
Yes. As pointed out by, I believe, Paul in the Discord, the video trailer for it is very old school Grindhouse double feature effort, which is fun for Halloween.
It makes me think that like the whole reason that they're doing this is to like have a beat for Halloween.
Yes. Well, I mean, as pointed out, as between us, like, it's not much of a reason to do it because both these games have a remaster you can even buy on the Switch for relatively cheap.
Oh yeah, that is a great point. I mean, it's Turok 2 is now joining Turok 1 in that app.
That's true.
So like is there one more that was on?
I think it was Perfect Dark.
Yeah, Perfect Dark. I'm saying, is there one more Turok on Nintendo 64?
Yeah, maybe. There's Turok 3 was also in Nintendo 64.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they ported that to Steam, and I have that copy, but I don't know if they ported that to Switch yet.
Yeah. And then Shadow Man, you say they did do a
remaster year or two ago, and I have that as well on Steam because of some sort of bundle. That was always a curiosity that I never played, and then I played a little bit. I'm like, this is very much a weird Nintendo 64 mature game.
Yes,
very much its vein.
That was my thought as I turned it on just now, because I really only knew it from the box art.
Yeah, very famous, like kind of cool looking design,
but also like
Kane-ish,
edgelordy.
Yes, cool for its time.
Yes, cool for its time for sure. But yeah, like it starts with like Jack the Ripper, and then like it's a strange experience playing a Nintendo 64, like an edgy Nintendo 64 game for the first time in 2024. But these are available, so check them out. And again, just like worth reiterating that they will not be in your regular Nintendo 64 app. You got to go to the 17 plus one, which if you haven't downloaded it already is a separate thing you have to download.
Ask your parents for
permission. That's right. And then coming out on Tuesday, we've got World of Goo 2 coming out retail.
Ooh.
Wednesday, October 30th, the Pokemon trading card game Pocket. This is the mobile version of the Pokemon trading card game. It's coming out. Hearn, do you ever mess around with Pokemon trading cards?
Back in the day, the analog version, and I believe I had the Game Boy game, but I never got too far into that. But I remember playing some of like the tournaments with my sister and stuff. Nothing too heavy, obviously, but yeah. And that's like Magic the Gathering. That was a time in my life, and I will not probably go back to the physical version of it. But I don't know.
But you think maybe the digital cards
you know what? Probably not. But I'm happy they're there. But I'll look into what that's going on. Like if it's free or if it's like not too, whatever, maybe.
Well, I mean, I think it's free to play it.
Free to play, but
it's gonna find a way to make you want to spend money.
Exactly. So probably not. Sorry.
It's no. I have a pretty firm no collectible card games.
That's a good rule to have in the household.
That's because it's I went too hard on Magic when I was like 12, and so now I know myself.
Had that experience. Good.
So anyway, that's available on phones on Wednesday, and then Thursday, October 31st, Vampire Survivors gets Ode to Castlevania DLC. Hearn, were you throwing up rock and roll horns?
I was just now.
I'm very excited about this. It's a ton of stuff coming to Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, I mean they always do. I'm like even a couple DLCs behind, so I'm just gonna be getting into this one day and just bewildered by how different it is.
But all the new stuff in there.
Yeah, all the new stuff. And again, the common joke that is funny about this is that this isn't their first Konami crossover. They did Operation Guns, which is a Contra
Right.
DLC for Vampire Survivors. So it's funny they're finally getting the obvious inspiration point of Castlevania into their game, but it's very cool they got to get not one but two Konami official
Yeah, pretty cool.
cosigns.
And it's a ton of stuff too. It's like 20 characters. There's
Jeez.
a big level and a ton of weapons and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Which like really digging into the sort of like unlock trees for Vampire Survivors and like
Yeah.
how to combine
Mhm.
weapons and stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
And like the true joy of that game is like discovering the systems under the system.
Yeah.
Um, and this just means there's going to be like a whole new set of that.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's fun because it's the type of game where bouncing isn't necessarily part of it. Obviously, there's bouncing
Right.
to it, but it's still like you're having the fun experience of like this gotcha game almost of
Mhm.
experience. But obviously, it's dirt cheap. It's nothing, and it's like very colorful and into its own ideas.
Yeah.
So I'll be excited to see what they do with Castlevania elements.
And Ode to Castlevania is $4, so like,
Yeah,
no big deal.
I mean, yeah, everything in this game would not cost you more than like $20, maybe.
Yeah, to get everything.
Yeah.
The have you played Vampire Survivors multiplayer yet?
No, that's fun.
I got to tell you, it's like it was a revelation to me. I
Mm.
liked Vampire Survivors well enough by
Yeah.
myself, but like got kind of bored with it.
Mm.
Had like a weekend with some college friends,
Mm.
and I was like, oh, we could all play this together. That might be fun. And we played like one match, and then we're like doing something else later, and we were like, what we should do? We should go back play more Vampire Survivors, and that became most of the weekend.
Nice.
So anyway, check that out if you're interested. And then on Friday, November 1st, first of all, November, can you believe it?
Yeah, I know.
We're already here.
Yeah.
Already here in November. Farmagia comes out on Switch. This is one of those farming fantasy games that we saw in some kind of Nintendo presentation. So thought it was worth flagging here. All right, Hearn, let's close out the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Michael and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. We are going to stay in the realm of video games. We're going to talk about the Sega Dreamcast because it's in the news.
It's in the news a little bit, specifically Crazy Tatsy, because
Mhm.
Tim Walz, vice president elect or vice president up
Nominee.
on the ballot. Sorry,
Yeah.
nominee. Sorry, that's the
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, that'd be nice. And AOC did a Twitch stream where he played Crazy Tatsy because of a like old article that had to do about his Dreamcast fandom, and sort of revealed that Crazy Tatsy was his game of choice. So he played it a little bit. Not to criticize too hard, he's not the best Crazy Tatsy driver, but it's still pretty endearing.
I think it's okay.
Yes.
I mean, when do you think was the last time he actually
Probably not, especially since the part of the story was like his wife was like, "You're spending too much time on this. This needs to go in the garage."
Right. So like it was probably, I mean, the thing came out famously
Yeah.
September 9th, 1999.
99.
9999, same
Yes.
day as the Video Music Awards that year
Oh,
on
wow.
MTV. It would look. It's such a sticky marketing
Yes.
thing of something being on 9999.
Yeah.
And it'll never happen again. But yes, so yeah, this was maybe 25 years ago was the last time he played. But what is your relationship with the Sega Dreamcast?
I did have a Sega Dreamcast, and I did have a good amount of games for it. Big ones being like some of our common points of Soul Calibur, Power Stone,
Yep.
Choo Choo Rocket, Jet Run Radio, Crazy Tatsy, the Sonic Adventures. But yeah, and I think it's fun that like Crazy Tatsy gets to be like, no, this is Dreamcast, like synonymous almost, even though it's been around. It's an arcade game. It's got some good stuff, but I think it's just that Sega philosophy of arcadey
Yes.
immediacy that really compared to a lot of their games. And yeah, no, I had fun with it. I wish I was smarter about some of this stuff. Like it's such an early online console.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of the US especially got to use it to its full potential.
No, well, and I mean like they cut the support of the Dreamcast so early.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm not sure I ever plugged because it like the like little modem port in the back was just like a regular phone line.
Yeah, Ethernet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know that I ever if I've ever had it hooked up to the internet.
Yeah, I never got to try like State Channel or whatever, but it's like one of those like everyone can look back on and be like, that was very like forward thinking, very intelligent. If we knew what they could do then and actually did it through,
Right.
how different gaming could be. And instead, like I think, yeah, the Xbox eras and stuff kind of went forward with it better. Xbox 360.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dreamcast, I still got mine out here. Still play.
I've got mine out
yes,
here.
we played it recently, and we're happy. Like some stuff is still coming out. Like Crazy Taxi. I got to play a little bit of like a beta test of the Crazy Taxi remake they're eventually going. Had my own real NDA for that, but they already announced it, so I'm okay with that. And I mean, I think it's good to have it back in the news because from what I played, it'll be fun to get back into.
Yeah. Was it really just like a remake of the original, or did it seem like they were like doing new stuff in it? You can also tell me.
Yeah, sure.
To stop asking questions.
No problem. At the very least, I can say, because they admit it's a remake, it is the originals as of now, just the first Crazy Taxi, that map, that soundtrack, which I'm appreciative. And
they like got all the licensed music.
yes,
Cool.
There might be new ones, so don't hold me to it's the exact same, but at the very least, when I booted it up, the first thing I heard was yeah by the Offspring.
Yeah.
As far as I'm sure that's that song's name. And
probably.
probably. And then just all the mechanics are there, and there were different multiplayer modes, which, as far as I can tell in the news or rumblings, might even be different from what I played, and that's as far as I'll go with that. But I hope some of the stuff I played comes out there, and I gave like a shout out to maybe they should port some other stuff, and I hope they listen to me like Jet Brand Radio and such.
Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't Sega did have that big announcement like maybe 2 years ago at the Game Awards where they were like, every franchise that we used to do, we've got new stuff in development.
Yes. And
sorry, I was just struck with. I just realized that last week I listened to the new Offspring record and was really bored by it.
Oh wow.
It looks like. Oh, geez. Okay. That was the end of our recording of 433. Nice. There was no applause, and instead it autoplayed a video and an ad before it. So I guess we have to stop talking about Sega Dreamcast now.
All good.
But we were accompanied today by the McAllister College Choirs. Hearn, let's get into the news. All right. First things first. Let's get this out of the way because we don't have any information here.
No time like the present.
There's no time like the present to speculate wildly or is the reveal of the successor to the Nintendo Switch happening sometime this week? Possibly even as soon as Tuesday morning?
Wow.
Or Tuesday sometime? We don't know. Known leaker PH Brazil has claimed that it'll be shown off before the end of the month. The shareholder meeting, Nintendo shareholder meeting, is on November 5th. And without any new kind of hardware announcement, there's not really anything to tease on the horizon, which is usually what these like that needs to be set up before the shareholder meetings can have any sort of like positive impact. But as far as I can tell, PH Brazil is the only like source that's like saying this and is driving all the conversation. Hearn, your thoughts on this?
I would like it. I would like it. Please give it to me. I get the idea of the shareholder meeting being a possible thing of like, but I'm also like, if I was a shareholder with Nintendo, I would have been betting on them like regardless whether they drop something now or not. They've been doing a good course. I'll stay with them. But
for the last couple years,
yes.
You know, like they're not always
Post-Switch,
in that position.
Yes, and I see the merits of that. I also feel like they could just do a direct as well, and maybe that would be fun. But I don't know. I'd like to see it because it's no time like the present, like we say, and it's not going to be this year, obviously, because you know, a holiday push would have already happened. Yeah. So it would just be the idea of like 2025, get ready for the last hurrah of Switch before Switch 2 comes and rots our socks off.
Right.
I'll see. I mean, it's a weird last couple of days. I guess maybe it even helps that like the Halloween is in the middle of the week, so everyone's done with their Halloween real weekend celebration.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because there is like the thing of like kind of clearing the slate for like, because like there's no way they're going to announce it next week with the elections in the U.S. Right? Like, it just like that's going to be too much noise to contend with. You can't really release or reveal a product in that environment. I mean, like, I'm still sort of the belief that like we don't hear anything about this thing
Yeah.
until 2025. So we all just know it's coming at this
Yeah.
point. I don't know. All of this speculation could be rendered, pointless by 6:00 this morning, as of when this episode comes out. So, I don't know. Just on the horizon. Just wanted to pin it for everyone. It is possible that we'll be talking about the Switch successor, very soon, instead of just every week on the show speculating.
Just hopefully.
Okay. So enough about the Switch successor. A couple weeks ago, we heard about the sunsetting of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, at least in its current free-to-play, pay-to-win sort of format. But this weekend, we got more details about pricing and release date for the new paid version of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. The current version is shutting down for good on the 28th, so that's today, actually. No, it's a month from today.
Yeah.
My bad. November 28th. And then Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete launches on December 2nd on Android and iOS. There's introductory pricing of $10, and after January 31st, it jumps up to $20. Players of the original can transfer their data from the old version to the new version, but there's no... I mean, it's possible that people spent hundreds or thousands of dollars on Pocket Camp. None of that. I mean, you'll get all those items and stuff. Yeah. But you will still have to pay $10 for the new version of the game.
I mean, at that point, you've already been paying.
You've already been paying. You're already a whale. It's fine.
Not to be on their side about it, but yeah.
I mean, and it's also that's true. Like, whose side are we on here? Yeah. A new currency, Leaf tokens, will replace the premium currency, which was Leaf tickets. Okay. It's not clear exactly how the new premium currency will be earned in the game now that you can't spend money to get it. Yeah. But so there's just a new mechanism for that. And then there are 2 new features, or at least that's what Nintendo was putting in their statements about it. There are camper cards, which are, quote, customizable in-game cards that each player can create and trade through a QR code that has information like your favorite animal pal. And then a new location whistle pass, which allows players to hang out in a shared space for in-game activities, including music performances. So DJ KK, almost certainly.
Hopefully. Very Fortnite, but with KK Slider showing up.
Right.
Lady Gaga.
And also, I'm sure way less cool than the stuff that happens in Fortnite.
I think KK's got some stuff he can pull out.
Look, I got nothing against KK Slider. I'm just saying,
sounded like he had a little bit of a... Is KK Slider the new offspring?
He might be like the new offspring, yes. I'm just saying Weezer was in Fortnite.
Fair enough.
Does this do anything for you? Did you play any of the original version of Pocket Camp?
I have not. No, this is not exactly the first time I've heard of it. I'm sure I've heard of it, but no, I've not been very familiar with what this concept is of the Pocket version of Animal Crossing. But
yeah, I mean, it's basically just that, right? Like if you can imagine like iPhone game tropes in an Animal Crossing game, that's what this was. Yeah. Which like it was still pretty robust and all that, but like I've got no appetite for that monetization model.
Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously the Animal Crossing for Switch had the very famous boost from COVID. Right. And that's why I got into it as much as I did even. And without that, I fell off pretty hard. And now I don't know. The Pocket version, even though I'm now a Pikmin Bloomer, but that still has a very live action thing that I think helps add to it versus, something so communal on the phone, which honestly, I'm trying to get away from a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great point, is that like whenever I can have an excuse to not be looking at my phone, I'm taking it. The thing with Animal Crossing, and I remember thinking this when playing, New Horizons, that like it sure would be nice if I could just like check in on it real quick on my phone,
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like rearrange my neurotic phone habits to incorporate Animal Crossing.
Yeah, your little phone city compared to
little phone city. No, I'm gonna keep wasting time on Twitter while it rots my brain.
Exactly.
But so anyway, if you are interested in this, it is cheaper if you buy it before January 31st. Sort of interesting, right?
Yeah, that might. Yeah, it's again Nintendo being a little savvy, and that might get me.
Yeah,
but it probably won't.
$10 bucks. It's okay.
$10, why not?
Last week, we mentioned Masahiro Sakurai's final video for his YouTube channel on creating games was going to be posting the next day, literally 4 hours after we posted the episode. The finale video is characteristically charming and revealed that Sakurai wrote and filmed all 2.5 years worth of videos in the 5 months between the end of Smash Ultimate's production and the start of his new, currently unannounced project. And this was like the entirety of the video was like, here's how I did it. Like he was doing the Prestige, and being like, I did all of this, 2.5 years of videos, like 150 something videos, over the course of
wrote, edited, everything.
Yes.
Wow.
And at great expense to himself. I don't have the dollar amount here, but something like $600,000 or something on editing and production stuff to make all these videos, which weren't monetized.
Yeah. It's like his Megalopolis. He's like, I know I'm going to lose money on this, but
that's
this
right.
is my hurrah.
It's like his Megalopolis, except like less focused on like his own ego.
More communal,
more communal, more trying to pass along his knowledge to the next generation of game developers. All of this is insane. The video is absolutely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun and very cute. But he talks about like how he had this like period of 5 months, which is unusual for a game developer of his like level of success.
That's
he's
fair.
normally like leaving one project early to go to like the next, right? And that like he couldn't travel because he has like a cat that gets nervous when he's not home. All super charming stuff.
Yeah, I have a pitch that this cat should be honored like Hachi the dog and get a statue by gamers for like his duty for educating future game developers and giving Sakurai a reason to stay home and do this.
Hachi the dog, that was the one who kept like showing up at the train station after his like his owner had died or something.
Yeah, I believe it's very much the Futurama episode, but real and in Japan.
Yeah, that's right. Futurama coming up twice in this one episode.
Sorry, I don't mean to plug it so much.
Yeah, take it back, Hearn.
I mean, if they hire me as a writer, I wouldn't.
Well, there you go.
Putting it more.
Okay, and then obviously the other piece of information that we can glean from this is that Sakurai said that he's been working on a new game for the last 2 years. He was approached to write a game proposal, which he then did. Quote, at lightning speed. This man knows how to pump himself up.
I was about to say, if anything, this is a testament to his work ethic and ability,
right?
Of product turnaround.
He should take some time off, but also don't take any time off because we need you, Sakurai.
Yeah.
We don't know if it was Nintendo who approached him for this, but like seems like probably, right?
Yeah. They're smart. I think they'd keep it in the family.
I would think so too. During the run of his On Creating Games series, which again, to reiterate, he made the whole series after this proposal was accepted. He talked a little bit about Kid Icarus Uprising and how a remake would be difficult, and that he mentioned that Super Smash Brothers needed to evolve if he were no longer involved in it, or would need to become something else because like he's the sort of secret sauce to making that all work. So
I can believe it.
Which I totally believe. So, more speculation?
Let's speculate. Now, first of all, very cool stuff all around. No negative there. And then, I'm not, I don't know Sakurai as well. I haven't watched these videos, so I don't know exactly what his speed is. So I'm not like, I can't surmise what his new non-Smash, non-Kid Icarus product would be. But
right. And also, I would assume non-Kirby as well.
Non-Kirby as well, yes.
One of the things he talks about in the video is that like that it's important to like keep in mind the intended audience for a game and how it may be different than yourself, and that he uses the example of Kirby where he's like, Kirby's a game for beginners. I'm not a beginner, so these games aren't really for me, but I made them.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. It's what was Nintendo being like? Hey, Sakurai, we need you to make blank.
I mean, that's a fair point. I have the obvious like Nintendo franchises that haven't gotten a hurrah that would be fun to see someone do, like an F-Zero or Star Fox in a bit. But I don't know. I could also. I really don't know. I'll just give it that. I'm opting out as cowardly as possible.
Very good. We need more cowards. But no, for me, the logical thing would be that they just ask him to make the next Smash game.
Yeah, and maybe he's just pointing out with him involved is trying to be the secret sauce and still
right.
a higher evolution for Switch 2 probably. And all that. I got back into playing Smash a little bit Ultimate with some of Kelsey's family because they know how to play it very well and really school us. But I am like, oh yeah, there is like this just general like never-ending game too that's still going to be alive and still fully functional. And so the new one could be something weird offshoot, but still keep alive the older one.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because it's Smash is always a like, where do you go from here?
Yeah. Which they somehow have done.
Right. Like it can't. I suppose it could, but like it seems unrealistic that it should get bigger.
Yeah.
But like that is just like the direction of games.
Yes. I mean, it's like when the next Mario Kart will ever come out. It's like, well, how can you do a better, bigger 8 Deluxe version or something?
The thing is, both in Mario Kart and in Smash, they simply have to make new versions of them.
Especially a new system, for sure.
Yes. The series are just too successful.
Yeah.
Kart in particular has sold like 60 million copies or something.
It's still like number 1 or something on
Yeah,
Smash.
it is. Like by a mile, right? Yeah. But Smash is not far behind. It's in the top 10. It's something like 20 million copies. I'm not going to look it up, but it's a lot.
Yes.
Sakurai says that we will know about this game, quote, sooner or later. So not super informative.
Very ambiguous.
Very ambiguous. Maybe when they reveal the Switch 2 tomorrow.
Like, sooner.
It'll be part of it. Sooner, very soon.
Yeah.
This is all sort of in the same... or no, the next thing. Anyway, with Banjo-Kazooie back in the Nintendo fan cultural conversation,
because of some nasty stuff said about how people don't care about Banjo-Kazooie.
Now, look, it's true. People don't care about Banjo-Kazooie. There are people who do care about Banjo-Kazooie, but there's not a preponderance of sentiment about it.
Yeah, it's the time and place of it all, yes.
That's right.
I acknowledge that. I'm just pointing out that's why it's on our list.
It is. It's true. And because Banjo-Tooie is
now on NSO.
But some Miyamoto comments about the development of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time from an old Famitsu interview have surfaced, where Miyamoto heaped a little praise on the original Banjo-Kazooie. Aborted attempts to utilize the 64DD have been cited for Ocarina of Time's delay out of 1997. Miyamoto also credits Banjo-Kazooie with sort of encouraging them to try to do more with the platform. He said that Rare's game was, quote, so amazing that we don't want to be outdone. So if you like Ocarina of Time, you have Banjo-Kazooie to thank for it.
You have to tip your cat to Banjo-Kazooie. First of all, very cool turnaround for Miyamoto to give Rare like the thumbs up, because I think he had that famous like diss about Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, no, and I considering how much Rare did for Nintendo 64, just in general, very kind things he said about them.
Yeah. I also just like in terms of like which of these Rare Nintendo 64 games like to highlight. I do like just with the passage of time, I am more and more just like, oh yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is an incredibly well crafted game, right? Like Rare made they made some shooters and they made a couple of like platformers like Banjo-Kazooie, but Kazooie's the high watermark.
Yeah, and I mean you can see, especially even by Rare in the Nintendo 64 era, but a lot of platformers trying to do the Super Mario 64 thing and kind of messing up the formula a little bit too much.
Right.
Banjo-Kazooie might be the most tangential spiritual sequel on that system, at least.
Yeah.
That didn't mess with the formula too much, still kept it within the same like realm, and still added its own like flavor and ideas to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's something about like the that very like English presentation that Rare has that in other contexts I can find like annoying, but it's just like cute in Banjo-Kazooie. I don't really know what the secret sauce there is that makes that work.
It's a
but-
fair thing, and I mean, sir, we'll bring up soon is that there's been like still trying to harken back to that era of 3D platforming.
Speaking of Banjo, a trailer for the remake of Yooka-Laylee, which is excruciatingly titled Yooka-Replaylee.
Mhm.
We can revisit this in a second.
Yep.
Made some news by revealing the platforms that it would be available on: PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S/X, and quote Nintendo.
Not Switch.
With that, I mean, Nintendo, as far as we know, is not
Yeah.
a platform.
That's fair.
So obviously this means that they're announcing it for the Switch successor, which, it's always exciting when we have new games being announced for a thing that doesn't exist yet. But it's also, and they're little like googly eyes over the word Nintendo, kind of being like, see,
look at this.
This is interesting,
I
isn't
could
it?
have sworn it was like a little cappy, maybe like hint, but I think everyone and everything I've seen is saying that it's more like they're doodly eyes and Yooka-Laylee, which really underlines how little I've played Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah, well, it's just like Banjo-Kazooie, right? That
Yeah.
like even the jiggies or the music notes, they all have eyes
That's
on them
fair,
as well.
yes.
So yeah, just eyes.
Eyes have it.
is a thing. Interesting, I think, that Yooka-Replaylee, which I still want to talk about how dumb that title is not coming to PS4 or Xbox One or Vanilla Switch. Vanilla Switch I sort of get.
Yeah, if they're doing the new extensive. And I mean, I guess I sort of get all of it if Yooka-Laylee is the original is playable on those previous and you're trying to upsell the remaster. But also
it's just it's tough to do to release any game that is exclusive to just the new
just the highest
systems.
tier with no backwards. Yeah, and then even that it's like I mean, first of all, if we want to talk about the name a little bit, it's kind of a ballsy move to have the name be Replay-Laylee, when the idea is that means you played it first.
Yes.
It's
It's also just like instead of, because if you release and like Resident Evil when they made those, I think they just called them Resident
Evil 2. Yeah, like in gamers they just call it RE2 make or remake or
right, like that we needed some other
have
language
our own
for
vernacular
right.
Instead of being like Yooka-Laylee remaster, Yooka-Laylee HD or whatever, instead it's Yooka-Replaylee.
It's like baked into it.
It's giving yourself the nickname. That's not a cool thing to do.
That's right. But like even something like like Nintendo put out the Skyward Sword like HD a couple years ago, and when I talk about that game, I can just say that I'm playing Skyward Sword, right? Whereas if I'm playing the Yooka-Laylee remake, the Laylee part of it is now Replaylee. I don't like it. I feel like there's no way around using the like formal name of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's already a kind of cumbersome name a little bit.
Absolutely.
But and I mean, I say that as someone who hasn't invested much time into it, so maybe they're diehard fans defending it more.
I'm sure there are diehard fans, but I mean, this isn't even really a place where I want to talk about like the changes to the game.
Don't even humor it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it makes it more playable, whatever. But it's just some of it seems so silly. There's a trailer for Yooka-Replaylee.
I watched it. Yeah.
And there's like an orchestral score that's part of it. But it's just like it's playing over Yooka the lizard doing some like platforming, and it's like this soaring epic string theme is not really selling what you're doing here with like a cute lizard hopping around.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and I try to get into occasionally like the 3D platformers come out here and there that are trying to harken back to this era of Nintendo 64, and sometimes they even lean into the awkward like big level scale polygonal stuff. This I don't think is trying to do that. I think it is trying to do the prestige thing, which you're saying, which I think just for us who's grown up with it is too mishmash of tones there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what's something that I find like that I don't like about myself is that I'm totally like, if you turn that lizard and that bat into a bear and a bird anyone then I would maybe be into it.
I mean, you gotta forgive yourself about that, Patrick.
Yeah, you're right. I gotta. Moving on. Metal Slug Tactics finally has a release date, and it's soon, November 5th. is Metal Slug Tactics on your radar, Hearn?
It is on my radar.
It feels like it would be like in the
Yes.
right intersection of things
Exactly.
for you. Yes.
Tactical RPGs
Mhm.
and run and gunners, especially if the Metal Slug, that kind of stylistic choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about this looks cool aesthetically. I don't know the developer too well. I even looked up some of their stuff. They're a very interesting indie developer of like mismatching stuff like bullet hell platformers or something like that. And
Okay.
so I don't know like their quality run before or not, but this at least like doesn't have to do too much to get it right, I think.
Yeah,
And
totally.
at the very least, aesthetically looks very cool. It does like Metal Slug as a tactical RPG has a lot of cool looks to it.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool that like they're able to like evoke that same like pixel art style while also like it's presented from a different perspective, right?
Yeah,
Like
isometric.
Metal Slug, so as a tactics game, it's
Yeah.
like an isometric view versus the like kind of strict
2D
side-scrolling,
arcade, which those are like big, bulky pixel, like not like Contra style even, or like smaller things. They're like,
right.
they're like big on the arcade machine, like explosions everywhere type of thing, and big tanks. So it's like this kind of leans into that with being like big, bulky characters moving around on the plane. And probably we're like the only thing that is like it's probably less action packed as well, obviously being a tactic game.
Right.
But I still see like, if it does it well, I could see like a lot of benefit to that, like just having the cool look, but like feel more
Absolutely.
down to it.
I mean, I feel like that's so much of like why is a tactics game gonna hook me is like, am I enjoying the moment to moment experience?
Yes.
So like, do I like the art? Do I like the music? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, the mechanics like don't have to be too advanced, but like when they are well done and they feel really snappy and delightful, they work well. Obviously, I've been a fan of like all the Mario Rabbids stuff and
Totally.
Into the Breach, and those are like different levels of like snappiness and color, but they are their own games, and this looks like its own game at the very least. Like,
yeah, well, and there is something, and I don't know if I can really put my finger on what it is. Maybe it's just like that isometric perspective, but that it does make me think of like those two series, like you mentioned, Into the Breach and the Mario Rabbids games, more so than like an Advance Wars or Fire Emblem or
definitely.
something. So it'll be very cool to see when like impressions of this start coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope it's good.
Me too. Definitely looking around to see how it gets received because, again, for this good indie developer, and it's just cool. Like SNK is letting someone, or Neo Geo rather, is letting someone do something with one of their properties, rather than it's sort of doing the Nintendo thing of when they would give away like a Zelda to a random person or a Metroid to Team Ninja.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, oh, this is a good way to get Metal Slug back in the vernacular. Let's see what they do with it.
Yep. I am looking forward to it. And finally, we have the results of this weekend's Splatfest. The theme was, what would you be in a fantasy world? And mostly I just wanted to pose this question to you, Hearn. What would you be in a fantasy world? The teams were Wizard, Knight, and Ninja. We'll just get to the results here. Team Ninja was ahead at the half and then maintained that lead to victory.
I could see that.
That feels like
that
not much of a surprise that like gamers go for the Ninja.
That too, and I just mean like if I faced a team of anything, if I saw a team of ninjas, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna die now, aren't I? That's my end right there.
I mean, maybe the wizards have magic. You have to assume
they do, and actually, I mean, just to point out, fantasy world ninjas were real, and technically knights were. And wizards are like the fantastical thing, and
that's true. Wizards not real.
Yeah, wizards not real.
Okay, all right. So then
wizards.
Let's tear this down. What should the three fantasy things be if wizard is one of them?
I'm fine with wizard and knight because I get the idea those would coexist in that world. It's that level of knight. That's where ninja being like a feudal Japanese samurai seems like a random third choice. So I don't know, wizard, knight, orc. Archer, yeah.
I know archers are also real.
Gauntlet style, just those guys.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe a Robin Hood.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a character type, right?
Yeah.
So which are you, wizard, knight, or ninja?
I hate to lean forward with all the gamers, but I do like the ninja.
Ninjas are cool.
Yeah,
that's hard to.
Yeah, there's something about like the code they gotta follow, the like style they get to be, the nighttime like skirmishes. That seems endearing. Wizards, it's interesting to be a team of wizards because you would think a wizard as like a solitary,
right? That there would be like one wizard.
Yes, exactly. They even seem contentious about that. Like there can only be one. And then knights, I feel like it's two like underling thing, because you can just be like your first day as a knight. Like that's not cool. You can't be your first day ninja.
That's right. Well, in both cases, I feel like you really want to be like an elder venerated member
Yes.
of the team, right?
That's fair. Yes.
Whereas like for a wizard, you presumably have to be old.
Yeah.
Right. You studied your whole life.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Mm-hmm.
I would be wizard.
All right, that's fair. No, it's a good defense for that too, and it's a very. I mean, I would listen to whatever a wizard would say too.
I mean, 100%, right?
Yeah.
And I want to use magic spells.
That's very good.
All right, Hearn, let's get on to the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Michael Hearn, thank you so much for joining me for this. I know you plugged your website on the way in. Anything to plug on the way out here?
No, not much. But pleasure to be here. Hopefully, we'll find out about some of these like presumed switches and things that are coming out soon.
Yeah, and if not, we got Metal Slug Tactics.
Yeah,
still,
hey,
right?
that'll tide me over.
That'll tide us over. All right. If you're not in the Discord, you should already. Or you should get in there. Email us, nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com, and I will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Michael Hearn, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.